podcast where we basically just kind of talk about media from our childhood and see how it still holds up today versus what else is available and kind of our memory versus how good it actually is. I'm joined with my host as always, Will, and I guess we'll start with what we're drinking this week. So,
yeah, definitely. What have you got?
oh, I got this amazing. It's from Yards again. I got their summer pack, but it's a sparkling tart berry ale, and it's for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And every
Nice.
bottle can goes to the Breast Cancer Association, so that's super awesome. And it also tastes great, and it's summery and
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you know what you said? You said it's like a berry summer ale. Do you know what's in it? What are you tasting?
oh, I went on their tour, and they definitely said it, but you know how my memory is. It's
Yeah, yeah. Do you remember or not remember, but what do you think you're tasting then?
oh, not much. It tastes like beer.
So yeah, so not no distinct berries popping out at you.
It's bitter and tart, so I'm guessing I'm looking at the trying to figure out what berries are on there.
Yeah.
It looks like a raspberry and a pomegranate.
Solid.
Not a pomegranate. Hollyberry. I don't know.
Lots of berries. I've got this is Allagash White, which is
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
which is a pretty famous American beer. My dad actually was the one who introduced this to me because he really likes it, and it's described as a Belgian style wheat beer. And it kind of looks like this got in this glass here. It's pretty light in color. It's weird because it's not see-through like a light beer, like a lager. But it's still pretty light in color, and it smells like a little bit lemony and a little citrusy.
Oh, that's from Maine, right?
Yes, it is from Maine. And
My coworker's from there, so he told me about it.
oh, he probably loves it then. And yeah, the flavor's just really light and refreshing. It's definitely got that wheat beer flavor, but also has a bit of summery, citrusy note to it. And it says on the can that it has, I think it says on the can, yeah, it says that it has coriander in it. I don't get that much coriander taste from it. It's just nice and sweet and good for a hot summer day.
Yeah.
All right, since we're drinking, have you been consuming any cool media this week? Watched anything? Listened to anything?
Yeah, I have a new artist that I'm wondering if you'll be surprised that I'm really into him or if you even know about him. Lido.
Yo! Lido's dope.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Do you know what he produced that we both love? I don't know. I researched this and figured it out.
He's done so much that I probably don't know that he produced it.
Okay, you probably do though. He produced Same Drugs and Angels.
Yes, I did. I did
Yeah.
know that. Yeah, his history of just
that.
working with different rappers and stuff is awesome. It was a really weird transformation for him because he was a pop star in his home country.
Norway, right?
I think it was Norway. I forget what it was, but you're probably right. So he was a pop star there called Lido. And then he decided to delve into the world of electronic music, and he was making his own stuff for a while, and then he wound up working with a bunch of rappers, and yeah, he's very versatile.
Yeah, he's almost like R&B electronic.
Yeah.
And, I really dig it. It's whenever I take a walk at night, I always put it on.
That's awesome. That's a good pick right there.
And then I've also been really into Pokemon this week. Their Cafe Mix mobile game came out today, and I'm worried I'll get addicted. It's too cute as well. That's the dangerous part of I want to keep unlocking the Pokemon and seeing the little cafe outfits. Mm-hmm. And then I finished the Isle of Armor, which was
Solid.
Okay. Mm-hmm. It had good and bad elements to it, I guess. But...
Yeah. What was your favorite part of it, and what was your biggest criticism of it?
Well, the best part was novel, and it was the exploration, finding new Pokemon. I like how it was themed to the Pokemon in the cave were very cave-like, and then the Pokemon the Sharpedo, and everything was dynamic. And seeing the Slowpokes cracked me up.
Yeah, that was
and
fun.
They had a few other little cute Pokemon moments, in the forest with the Apple Dude and the Lily, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought the story part was kind of cute, but and the Diglets were cute, but there was the combat and the pacing, and I don't know, it was just shallow in other ways, I guess, overall.
Yeah, makes sense. Oh man, What have I been doing this week?
What about you?
This week, I have been listening to some music. There's a singer-songwriter I really like called Phoebe Bridgers, and she put out her new album, which is super awesome, very subdued. It's got some Elliott Smith vibes, got a little bit of Jeremy Zucker vibes too, and yeah, it's really good. I've been enjoying that. What else? DJ Snake randomly dropped a song that I really like.
Oh yeah, I checked that out.
Like I'm not huge into DJ Snake, but that was a heater. I liked that one. And what else came out this week that was good? Eden and Ryan Hemsworth made a collab, and that one was really good.
Yeah, who is the other guy? I was like looking into him a little bit. It seemed kind of housey and like.
All right, I'm gonna have to show you his stuff afterwards because he's done a lot of cool future-based type things that I'll send you.
And I thought it was like the Captain America actor for like, or I guess Thor. I totally like read it wrong. I was like, what the heck is this collaboration?
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth and Eden.
I was like totally thinking it was Thor. I was like, what is this?
That's so funny. Yeah, he has some good stuff that you might like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's what I've been into this week. Oh, also, and what I'm watching. I started watching a show called Hunter x Hunter. I think that's how you say it. It's like Hunter x Hunter.
That, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Joe actually was the one who recommended that to me. So, because I finished JoJo and because I finished Adventure Time, that's what I'm on to next. So that's been enjoyable too.
Yeah, I've always wanted to get into an anime. Like I just have never had the motivation, I guess, or willpower to. I've tried a bunch of times, but never gotten to. Joe recommended Parasite, and that one I got the farthest on. But.
Parasite's also very good, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that's what I've been up to this week. But this week, we're talking about something that is not new that we're discovering. It's something from our past.
Yeah, this historically has been my... Whenever somebody asks me, I always say this is my favorite game of all time, Mario 64. And it's so weird for me because I discovered it when I was like 12. Like it wasn't a nostalgic like first game or something. Like I literally found it from a YouTuber called Durden77. I had to like look him up because like I'm not a fan of him or don't remember him. And when I like went to watch his Mario 64 videos, I was like, oh, like I do not like this. Just his like, you know, energy and acting. But the way he laid out the game, I got it on the Wii Virtual Console like right after he did the first couple videos. And again, like I didn't follow him. I don't know how I found it, honestly. Or maybe I don't know. But I just fell in love with this game so very much. And I was like playing the original version. But I think you fell in love with the remake, which came out for the DS when that came out.
Yeah, so the first time I played this game, it's weird for us to be talking about this one because like when this came out, we were babies. So like, experiencing it not at release. But I remember I first played it when I think I told you this. I went over to my friend's house and he was like, I have a way that my dad set up that I can play free Nintendo 64 games. And I was like, mind blown, what is this? He takes me over to his computer, and now what I know it is that he had an emulator on his computer. But my mind was blown as he like started up this program and plugged in like a USB knockoff Nintendo 64 controller into his his dad's computer, and he had Mario 64 and Mario Kart, Donkey Kong 64 and GoldenEye and all this just like in a list. And that's how we played it. And then a neighbor of mine also had it. And then the first time that I owned it was actually right when the DS came out. The remake was a launch title for it. And that was my first launch title for my DS.
That's hilarious because it reminded me of how we used to like our dads would give us free computer games by just like pirating, but it wasn't obviously like pirating. We would just like if
it was
we
burning
owned the game,
CD.
We would just burn it to a disc and give it to you, and it was like this. Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, back then they didn't have like DRM on like PC games, so we would just burn discs. Wow. I remember I was disappointed when the one game that it didn't work for was Island Extreme Stunts, the Lego game.
That's like the GTA Lego. I later found out that's like my favorite. Like we have to do a podcast on that because that's literally one of my favorite games.
We should.
Memories.
I also had a version on the Game Boy Color, I think.
Oh wow! I played the original too, which isn't as good. It's more of an adventure 3D platformer.
That's wild. Yeah, but I remember being upset that that one didn't work because that one had a key. So, like, just burning the disc didn't work, and I was so upset. And then I wanted.
I remember, because so I actually got that whole Lego collection from like Walmart one day after like I wanted to play just that, and it had that on it. And I needed a key, so I had to like go to the most sketchy website, and I think that was like my first experience going to like a sketchy website that wasn't legit and trying to like scam you with keys and stuff.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But anyway, back a decade earlier,
Mario
this was
64.
the launch title for the this is the
So-
launch title for the Nintendo 64, which came out in '96, not '64. And I was like looking at the history of this, and it's really fascinating because like they kept having to delay the launch of the system because of this game's development cycle and
I didn't know that. Wow.
how much work went into this. Also, they spent like 11 months just on Mario's movement and the physics, which I can imagine being the biggest headache. I did one 2D game design class in college. It was like a 2-credit extra class.
Mm-hmm.
And we just did Binding of Isaac was like we kind of recreated that game.
Mm-hmm.
And just having that 2D field of just moving and having the like acceleration and the physics of that was a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only imagine, like I was playing Mario 64 with my like computer science and like, you know, that in mind, and I was just mind blown. And also just like it being so revolutionary versus Mario being in 2-dimensional. Everybody knows just, you know, walk to the right. Like in the first Mario, you couldn't even walk backwards, for instance, or the screen wouldn't like wipe backwards. You had to like, keep going, you know, more and more.
Yeah, it was revolutionary for the time, and honestly, in the order that I was introduced to video games and like played video games, it was kind of like revolutionary for me too, because I must have played like some third person 3D adventure games like on PC and stuff, but like I remember my introduction to Mario was like on Game Boy platforms like Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance, and I played original Mario Bros. And Mario Bros. 3 and Yoshi's Island and all those. So I was used to Mario in 2D, and then getting this one, I was like, wait, Mario can move, like Mario's in like 3D, like what? And I was just amazed at like running around the world. I thought the hub world was amazing. And it's like super simple, but to like at the time for me, that experience was just incredible to just move around in Mario in that space.
Yeah, and not to discount, like for 2004 on the DS, it's kind of well, I guess it was a '96 game, but it is still kind of insane that they were able to get that working and so elegant. Yeah,
well, considering hardware at the time, so like mobile platform before was basically like the one right before that was like just the Game Boy Advance, right? Which had some of the 16-bit style 3D where it's like fake 3D but no like real 3D on that. And then after that, the DS and the PSP came out, and like the fact that they were able to do 3D games in a portable platform is like amazing. And that in some ways the DS port looks a little bit better than the Nintendo 64 one. Not like not like dramatically, but like the character models are a little bit nicer.
Yeah, for this to prepare for this, I replayed on my Wii U. I had it on the Virtual Console, which I've never played through it on the Wii U much. I did like 15 stars, and then I wish I had played it, but that would have been my third time. So when I was like 11, 12, I got all 120 stars, and then that was like one of my best experiences with video games. Just like, I just got so sucked into it. And then in 2011, I had to like ask, because it was my cousin's wedding, so I remember vividly playing the final Bowser fight on the DS version. Before and after like my cousin's wedding
with the D-pad.
And I remember it taking me like 3 attempts. I died 3 times on that last Bowser just because of how annoying it was to like spin him and land it on the spike, and because it gets like progressively harder every Bowser fight. And I just remember it was so hard with I was playing on my 3DS actually, so I had the circle pad. But I remember I started playing on the circle pad, and then I got to the point where I just preferred the D-pad, which they kind of developed the game with the D-pad in mind, because the circle pad was on the 3DS. Because the circle pad you think would be way awesome, but they don't implement the like perfect circle with it. It's just as if you were using a D-pad, so it's not very easy to use.
Yeah. I mean, just the game is difficult to like control, and that was something replaying it to prepare for this podcast. I realized like whether you've got the joystick or the D-pad if you're playing on the DS version, it's like both provide their own challenges because like Nintendo 64 joystick is probably the most uncomfortable joystick that like ever existed, and on Nintendo 64 controller, the camera is with the the C buttons, so it's like the camera's a D-pad, and yeah, that provides some challenges. And then when you're on the DS, you're moving with the D-pad and trying to control the camera with the touchscreen. I think on the DS, what I wound up doing was using like the shoulder button to just like recenter the camera. That's all I would do.
I would use the touchscreen. I thought that
Really?
was super intuitive and worked really well, actually. But
I should have done that more. Well, but yeah,
it's better than Monster Hunter
True.
with the claw on the PSP, where you have to like control it and then control the camera with your index. It's insane.
So what about like, so, you know, it's Mario 64. It's pretty well known. You play as Mario. You got to save Peach by getting all the stars and fighting Bowser 3 times. What is your like favorite thing about the design of this game?
I think you kind of talked about the overworld, and I think that kind of, I mean, there's just so much that's revolutionary about this game. I always kind of say it's the first 3D game, and I learned that's totally not true in a lot of ways. But
It's like the first 3D adventure game for sure.
Right, it's like that, and it's the most innovative. And like, I mean, you could say Mario Brothers 1 has a bigger inspiration for like, it's a bigger legacy. But this game equally has an equally big legacy. The crazy thing is like how few 3D platformers have made it. Like, you look at Sonic and it's like the most like bumpy track record. You look at Crash and Spyro and they're finally being revived.
Banjo.
Just from nostalgia. A lot of the other things were just experimentations, like Kirby and Donkey Kong. And like PlayStation historically had like 2 or 3 games, and then they just dropped that mascot character.
Yeah.
But I mean, Mario has been solid like through and through, and I think it kind of comes down to like Miyamoto and his team, and just like the love they put into it, and like the quality and fun. Like it's a game that's not this deep storyline, but just controlling Mario and like running around is just a joy once you get past like learning the controls and getting comfortable with it.
Yeah, when the camera's not like getting in your way, he's very tight on the platforming, which I think is one of the coolest features that right out of the gate with this type of 3D platformer adventure, they were able to get a character to control so well.
Yeah, I'd struggle a little bit with the controls. And like there were a few areas that were just so annoying to play through. And I have to admit, I feel so bad about this, but I used the have you played on the Wii U Virtual Console or the 3DS or the Switch Virtual Console where they have the like save states?
Yeah, I have. So you use save states.
There were a few sections that were just like so painful that I used a few save states. My least favorite parts of this game are the wingsuit. I just think I just don't know if it's possible to control that elegantly with the wind gusts and stuff.
No, yeah, that's like very tough. And that was something that, as I was replaying it to get up to speed for this podcast, that was something that I noticed. Like, I was like trying to walk across like a thin like platform at one point, and I just like fell off, and I'm like, dang it! And it threw me back in the day to all the little challenges that I would face as I was just figuring it out. Now I'm like, you know, now that I'm older, I've played video games a long time. The biggest problem is the controls, but back then it was more of the design of the levels and stuff that were tripping me up. I remember, what were some that I was so mad about? Even in that first world, Bob on Battlefield, I encountered so many problems. The chain chomp freaked me out so much. When you have to race the Koopa, I was like, he's so fast, I can't beat him. I lost several times when I was a kid playing him. I would get upset because when I would be fighting King Bob-omb, I would fall off, and that resets the boss fight. So I had to do that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there were so many things that I thought were so difficult when I was a kid, and it was really just like because I was young and lack of experience, but overcoming those challenges was super memorable.
I think for me, I didn't quite have those. For me, it
You're a
was
little bit
more.
better at games than I was.
Well, no, I played it at 12.
That's
like I
true. You
didn't
also
play it as
played a little
kid.
bit older.
So I think I played Sunshine before this one. I played Galaxy before
I
this
mean,
one for sure.
GameCube came before
So-
Wii, so that does make sense.
Yeah, although I played it on my Wii, so I think I played it in like 2010.
Yeah, it would have been around like
Yeah.
2008, 2010.
I was sadly a Sonic kid. Like when I got my GameCube and Game Boy Advance, I had Sonic Advance and
you introduced me to
Sonic
Sonic.
Adventure 2 and Sonic what was it? Sonic, the one with the 3 characters. How
Sonic
much do you remember
Heroes.
that? Sonic Heroes, of course.
That was so funny.
So that yeah, I think that's why I love this game so much is because like I love those kinds of games, but like this was like a perfectly realized version of those.
What was your first experience with Mario then? Because for a lot of people, their first experience with Mario was either original Super Mario Bros. Or it was this one.
Well, Mario was one of my first video game experiences outside of like PC games, like
Which one
kid
was it?
games like Pajama Sam and Lego games. But I think I watched and played my friend's Mario Advance on the Game Boy a few
Solid.
times. I remember a few of my friends had it way before I had the Game Boy. You were probably one of them, but I never owned Mario Advance, which is awful. I wish I had because I owned like Donkey Kong and Kirby on the Game Boy, and those were like remakes of old SNES games as well.
Yo, Donkey.
So I guess Mario Galaxy and like Mario Party. I had Mario Party on GameCube and Mario Kart, so and the Mario Sports games on GameCube. So
All solid entries. Yeah, it's amazing how after Mario 64, the formula hasn't been shaken up all that much. It laid such a good foundation for everything.
yeah, I guess my other favorite design thing is the way all the levels are set up. I hate calling them levels. They're basically worlds. And if you look at it that way, it has like double the amount of worlds of any other Mario game.
Yeah.
Especially in recent where Nintendo like to do 6 world games, which I just think is kind of, well, not to be like super objective because they could be amazing 6 worlds. Like if you look at Tropical Freeze has 6 worlds, but they're like perfect. But then a game like Yoshi's Crafted World or Kirby on the Switch, those are just kind of, I don't know. They're not quite as good as the older games. But I love that there's that many worlds. They're all different.
And how many stars are within each world? 7 within each world.
Yeah, like I love the 100 coin star. I really love because it's kind of like a mastery of that world, and I think that's like missing from a lot of modern or not modern games, but like I don't know. I really like how they do that, and I love how you can do it in any order. Like if you got stuck at the Bob-omb boss, just go to Jolly Roger's Bay or the Ice Snowman's Land or the like Thwomp Fortress, and in the same way, like if you get stuck on that star, just like get a different star. It's like every mission is very vague in how to do it, and I love that open-ended design.
Yeah. That was something as I was replaying it today, I realized was an amazing design of it was how many options it gives you so quickly. Because like right off the bat, there's the first door that's open for you, and there's a 1-star door, but then there's like 2 3-star doors. Like you can go either way. And I remember as a kid being like, which one do I do first? But it just like doesn't, you can do whatever you want. And like you said, if you're stuck, you can go try something else.
Yeah, it's just perfect. And like the other amazing thing is just the soundtrack. Like that's what blew me away, like re-entering this game. And the soundtrack's on Spotify, which is insane for a Nintendo game. Like I can't think of another Nintendo game that's on like streaming platforms.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But like the title, even just the music on the title screen, which is really just like a jazzy band version of the original Mario Brothers theme, and like Bob on Battlefield, that's like one of the best songs in video games. Like I just get so happy and I want to dance, and very few like songs make me want to dance from a video game.
I'm not gonna lie, even like, I mean, replaying it for this was the first time I played it in like 5 years. Bob on Battle, even without playing it that long, Bob on Battlefield pops into my head at least once a week.
Wow.
Like it literally just like, like it just comes up all the time in my head.
And I was trying to like think of the genre for Mario games because like I was like thinking how they're so consistent, and I guess I don't know if it's like big band music or jazz. I don't know how you'd really describe it, but
Yeah, I don't know what it is specifically, but there's lots of good stuff. Obviously, I love the Jolly Roger Bay music and the Dire Dire Docks music.
Yeah, and like a lot of hip hop artists have sampled this and like rapped over it. Like I think the File Select song, I think I forget who remixed it, and then Dire Dire Docks, Little Uzi Vert has a song that's not on Spotify, but it's like on one of his mixtapes. That
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
yeah, it's amazing that there's so much that you can draw from here. So let's talk
And that
about.
like credit. Oh, last song, that credit roll song, I hadn't heard in so long. So when I beat the game, I was like, it's like the most happy, emotional song. Like it's almost like I want to cry, but it's in a happy way, and I just love that about it.
Yeah, it's great. So let's talk about some of the worlds and some of the stars, and then like some of the secrets in the castles.
Oh my gosh. So we already touched on Bob on Battlefield, but
Yeah.
I think it's amazing that it's like a sandbox, and it kind of is a great way to like introduce you to everything for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's like the ideal starting world.
And the best part about this game, compared to like, especially the 2D Mario's as of late, they always have such cliche worlds. But in this game, like some of them are cliche, but other ones are super unique. So I really love that about them too.
Yeah, for sure. After there's a few worlds that come up pretty quick. You got Womp's Fortress, you got Jolly Roger Bay, you got Cool Cool Mountain, which actually I remembered them out of order. I in my head, Cool Cool Mountain was the second world. I don't know why I remembered it that way.
I wonder if it's the second door.
It
think
is
it
so
is.
what it is. It's the door immediately to the right of Bob on Battlefield,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
which is
That's
probably
why
just why I remembered it that way.
that level is like so interesting. Like that snowball where you have to like bring the snowman head to the snowman body. Like it took me like 6 times to try and do that or more. I still don't know how I did it.
I love how unique some of the stars are in this one, between like opening up and you have to go down the slide and you got to return the penguin and then the snowman.
Yeah.
I really liked how unique they made a lot of the stars to this one, but these were some of the toughest ones for me to get.
Yeah, the wall jumping one is such a nightmare, and I did the 100 coins for this one, and it's like terrifying with all the ways you could fall into the void.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
But yeah, Jolly Rogers also talk about like absolutely terrifying as a kid. I was like 11 or 12, but I still was so freaked out of this freaking eel.
Oh yeah, when I was like I forget how old I was, somewhere in the 6 to 8 range, like playing like going down and seeing the eels come out, I was like, no. It was
Yeah.
so terrifying.
Yeah, I showed Caroline this level. I just wanted to show her one of my favorite games, and she was like, why is this scary?" And it's different when like 6-year-olds playing it versus like a grown man, but still, it's that memory, you know.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things that wind up like this game scared me when I was little. Sonic Adventure 2 at moments scared me when I was little. Luigi's Mansion terrified me when I was little.
Yeah.
Like I was like an 8-year-old playing Luigi's Mansion and I was just so scared.
I just hate anything that has a time limit when I was a kid. And now I'm like fine because I'm like, well, obviously if they give it a time limit, it's like probably beatable fairly easily by the highest like you know proportion
Yeah.
of people.
Yeah, but the stress when you're younger, it's pretty crazy. What are some other worlds? So we got Big Boo's Haunt. This
Yo,
one also scared me.
The piano, let's talk about scary. That's the scariest thing in this game for sure.
I hadn't
This
seen
one, like,
anything
oh.
about the piano before going into the world, so the first time walking into that room and it just like comes to life, I'm like,
Yeah. And this one like was awful to me. So do you remember the star where you have to get up to the attic that's like the secret room and it has the painting?
yeah.
Okay, so like I remember that room existing, but I forgot how you got up there. So I knew that you had to use the invincibility power up to then like get through a secret wall.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, I spent like 30 minutes going around to every single wall of every room, and I pressed up on the camera to like go into first person mode, and I tried to like angle it where I could see like where I was going and if there was any kind of ledge or hidden wall or any room. And I did that for 30 minutes, And then I finally like figured out you had to like wall jump and do these like super precise platforming to get up there. It was insane.
Yeah, it's amazing. This one like doesn't hold your hand. There's some stars that like that one that are really a challenge.
I wonder if in the DS game they fixed that with anything. I forget honestly if they change any of the like names of the missions or anything.
I don't have it up here, and I don't recall if they tweaked anything. But I know, like, I was actually looking for a comparison list earlier today, and there are a lot of little differences between it that nobody seemed to like document online. There are like some pretty interesting differences. So that might have been one of them.
Well, I know that one would be different because the power up suits are locked to what character you play as.
Yes.
Which would probably make it easier because you know you have to be who's invisible, Luigi.
Luigi,
I guess.
so you have to be
that
Luigi
makes
for
sense.
that one.
And then he can also jump higher, so it probably is easier. You don't have to like do the wall jump or the backflip. You can just like probably jump higher. So yeah, that would make it easier.
I remember the first time I discovered that you could backflip in Mario 64. I was amazed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this time particularly, like, so Odyssey is like one of my all-time favorite games as well, and I had a turmoil like going into this, like how I was worried that Odyssey would beat this game, and I was so comfortable with the controls of this game because a lot of them are so similar to Odyssey with like the kick jumping and the sliding and the long jumping and triple jumping and all that. But.
So after that, you have one of my favorite maps is Hazy Maze Cave.
Don't say it. No, this was one I like didn't want to do. I like hesitated on. I honestly skipped this one. This is like I was terrified of.
It's so grueling, but it like has some of my favorite challenges in it, like the poison and the Metal Mario stuff is just like some of my favorite stuff. Although in the DS it's Metal Wario.
That's why you like it.
Not necessarily, but like on either platform, I like the challenges that this map provides. Although some of them take so long.
Yeah, I think this is one of the things I think doesn't hold up is how vague it is. Like I know I praised it for being vague and like being open ended, but I think some areas like this are a little bit too vague and too big and stuff and hard to navigate. But
yeah, it's definitely like. You just gotta find stuff. It doesn't give you too much direction.
There's not like a die 3 times and get a Super Wario power up to guide you to the star in this game.
Nope. After that is the Lava Land.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. Just I love navigating it because it's like you can kind of survive after getting your butt burned, and I love the like, oh, when he gets burnt. I just love that.
This was, I mean, it's definitely a super well designed one, but this was one that I struggled with a lot because lava in any game like gets me. Then you have Shifting Sandland.
Yeah, this was one I really hated this time around, and I just hated all the like quicksand. Like it was hard to walk anywhere without dying instantly, which I thought was just like.
Yeah, it's very difficult and like differentiating the sand and stuff, and it's a tricky one. But there were some cool stars in this one as well, with like the pyramid and the pillars, and it was a good.
Yeah, one. I think comparing it to Odyssey, this is like I love that this game almost every star is unique. Like I see a lot of the moons. There's like 999 moons, so a lot of them are kind of the same goal, but in a different world. And I think that's fine because there are 999, but in this game, the fact that there's 120, 150 on the DS, it makes sense that like they're all unique. And I love that about this game so much that they're all like its own little, it's like I don't know, it's a lot of accomplishment for every little star.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that was done a little bit in Sunshine. You have some like super unique stars in Sunshine, but I feel like no other game has done it as well. That each challenge is to collect a star, but what you have to do and where you have to go to get the stars is so unique. Except for the coins, none of them feel repeated, which is awesome.
Yeah, and like I said, even with the coins, you're like mastering the stage, so it feels extra good. But like I wish they designed some of them better because like there's a few that you have to like go down the slide to get a lot of the coins, and I just hate that because if you get it on the slide, you can't obtain the star.
Yeah,
because it's like it spawns above you. There's some weird.
It's a little design flaw there.
And then we got Dire Docks, which like leads into the
Heck
second
yeah.
Bowser fight,
It's
which I
one of
always thought
my
was really
favorites.
cool. But
Yeah, and this one's one of my favorites as well. I liked where it is in the castle as well, with the water and stuff. And yeah, this was another one. Like, it was a little bit scary for me. Underwater things also just like freaked me out in video
yeah.
games.
And there were like sharks and manta rays, so I
Yeah, whenever
understand.
they like sneak up on you and you hear them the music and you're like, oh.
And that whirlpool too, like was really intense when I was doing it. Like when you're trying to go around to the chests.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. That's a good one.
Also, I love the Bowser levels because they remind me of Sunshine and Odyssey in the like. Remember in Sunshine when you lose Flood and you have to do those like crazy geometry platform
Yeah,
challenges?
and like the weird other space.
Yeah, and Odyssey has a lot of those too, and I love those kinds of challenges. And this is exactly what like this is like the purest of Mario 2D to 3D, where it's these like obstacle courses. I love the Bowser levels through and through.
And then after that we have another ice world.
Yeah, this one is kind of dopey. Like some of the stars you can just get in like without even thinking with like
Yeah,
the a lot of them.
a few of the later worlds feel like a little bit like less attention to detail was spent on them, but this I would still say in gaming as a whole they're still pretty good.
And that's actually true with the development because they were trying to rush this game, so they actually spent the least time on the level design. And I think that's like the one downside of like I think also the songs are reused. So for this one, it works because it's like Snowman Land has its own song, and it uses the same one for Cool Mountain. And then for Dire Docks and Jolly Rogers Bay, it makes sense. But then later on, like putting the obstacle course, like the slide song that's really hyper and like da 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 da, da putting that in like the TikTok clock and the Rainbow Ride, it just does not
Doesn't
work at
make as
all.
much
Like it does not
sense, yeah.
fit.
I remember in like TikTok Clock when they reuse that song, I'm like, I feel like I should be rushing, but it's like not what you're supposed to do here.
Yeah.
After Snowman Land is Wet Dry World, which is kind of an interesting one.
Yeah, I really like this one.
I liked
And
it too.
I love also there's so many unique things in every level too.
Yeah. The platforms in Wet Dry World are really cool.
And that secret castle, it kind of reminds me of like
Yeah.
a super hostile like Minecraft map. I don't know why, but that town.
Yeah, for sure. It's really cool. And course 12 is Tall Mountain. This is the one that I have like the least memory of, maybe because I just like didn't like it as much.
This is honestly one of my favorites actually.
Really?
Like when I was returning to it for this, I actually like completed it and I loved like having to refigure out how to do stuff. So there's one where like the monkey has
Yeah.
to lead you to a chest, and there's two monkeys on this map, and like I was just messing around with the one monkey who just steals your hat, and then if he steals your hat's gone unless you get it
Yep.
back. So if you like leave the level, it's permanent, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely not something you see in a lot of modern game design, but
And you can like jump up to different parts to get to the top of the mountain. It's not like one way up. So
Yeah.
like where I think this game shines versus Galaxy and Sunshine. I guess Sunshine it is still almost as good, but with Galaxy you have to well with both of them you have to like select your level and only do that star. But with this game you can do any star almost. There's a few levels that evolve after you beat the boss or something.
yeah.
But I absolutely love that you can like totally do whatever you want and like go about the level in different ways, not like have to do it like sequentially.
Yeah, I remember for a few of these, I would be like in the world for the first time, and I would just like find the star. It wasn't what I was expecting
Yeah.
to do. I would literally just like stumble across a star, and I'm like, wow, that's cool. I didn't know that was gonna be there.
It's really cool.
After that is Tiny Huge Island, which is a lot of fun.
And yeah, this is the same experience where like I had kind of forgotten like there was one where you have to like find 5 secrets and I totally forgot where they were and I was like really stressed out. But they were actually like easy to find. Like they're pretty obvious. But
Yeah, when you're younger though, it's a lot bit more difficult. It feels like a much more monumental task.
oh yeah. And like it's insane how like huge the ratio is when you like make the world absolutely giant versus tiny. It blows my mind still.
Yeah, and that they did that on this hardware, like at the time, that was unheard of.
Yeah. And this is basically like a Mario Brothers 3 world, but like 3D as well.
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit.
How they translated all these things, because everybody had seen all the Goombas and the Koopas and the Thwomps before. Everybody had seen them in 2D, but now they had to imagine them in a completely different way in 3D, which is a really interesting concept. And I like how it feels very natural. Like it feels like it makes sense that they would act this way in 3D space.
Yeah, that's one thing that I would think would be harder is like jumping on a Goomba. But the fact that they add a shadow that's not based on the light of the sun, but the shadow is like permanent under every entity, which means you can kind of track where Mario and the enemies are, so you can more precisely jump on them. I think that's like a really smart design choice too.
I didn't realize that the shadow didn't follow like the sun or like the main light source above. That's
Yeah.
very smart, actually. That may have
And
been
with
like
yeah.
like a handicap of the platform, but it works well for, like you said, like tracking and stuff.
Yeah, and with Odyssey, it's like way more pronounced because a lot of the transformations you can like do very drastic movements, like a huge jump as a frog or like a huge extension, and it really helps to see that shadow and to know where you are, even if it's like you're not controlling Mario. So I love the whole like they still carry that on to a lot of their new games.
Yeah, that's amazing. After is the bane of my existence, TikTok clock.
Oh god,
I struggled with this one so much.
it's absolutely a nightmare, and like you said, the song doesn't help. I was thinking like if I were to design it, I would make the song change based on the speed of the level because if clock when you enter the level. So when you go in, it's like a different speed of the like pistons and the motors and the second hands and all the different like engine of the clock. It kind of changes the speed. So it'd be cool if the song matched that.
That's actually a great idea. Oh, that would have been really good.
But yeah, this one just doesn't work as well because it's like vertical. So there's only like one way up. And if you die, it's like you have to like restart the whole thing. So it almost feels like a 2D Mario level that you just keep redoing over and over, which like isn't the design philosophy. So this one like does not like hold up as well, or it never really did.
I have some nostalgia for it just because how much I struggled with a lot of these stars, but it wasn't necessarily because it was good.
The Mario Kart level holds up better.
Oh man. And then after that is the last full world in it is Rainbow Ride.
Yeah, and this one kind of has the same problem that TikTok Clock does, where it's like you have to just ride the rainbow like carpet like almost every time. In the
Yeah,
same way,
yeah. I remember a few times I would get stuck, like I would like jump onto something else and then it would be gone and I'm like, well, there's nothing I can do now.
and the 100 coin star for this mission is probably one of the hardest missions in the whole game because like it's so precise and you only have one chance to get them all.
Yeah, absolutely brutal. That was another really tricky world. And then of course beyond that we've got Bowser levels as well.
Yeah, and the music for those is so like everything is perfect. I actually remixed one of the Bowser songs like way back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. I liked how the design of each of those levels, like they were all sort of themed very similarly, but they always put some really cool design into each levels, and it was almost neat that they were more linear and one shot for the bosses versus like finding him in the middle of one of the other worlds.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love like the story, even though it's very subtle, but just like unlocking the castle and figuring out the boo, and then like in Dire Dire Docks where like Bowser's submarine is there, and then you can like go into the little portal or the like endless staircase. Like everything is just so cool.
Yeah, some of those overworld castle things are actually some of my favorite parts of the game, even above the individual worlds. Like, I remember the first time I hit the infinite staircase, I thought you could get to the top of it. So I just kept going. And I was like, this is an endurance test. They want you to turn back. And then eventually when I did turn back, I was like, wait, how was that so much shorter?
Yeah. Well, like you can backwards long jump up
Yeah.
it. That's like what most speedruns do.
Yeah, but I wasn't playing that way.
Oh no, of course.
Definitely had
I
a
like
best
watched
long
a
jump.
my favorite like one of my favorite things about Mario games is like the speedrun community. I usually don't like speedruns, but well that's not true. But like I don't have like an interest. Like I don't like watch speedruns, but I watched this video like compiling the history of speedruns for Mario 64, and it's like the most fascinating thing with like how much glitches were discovered and how much time was cut off. I think it's like 16 minutes or maybe even like 9 minutes. Um, it's insane how fast people do. And they don't obviously get like 120 stars. It's
Yeah.
just for like beating Bowser. But like all the glitches, like it's cool that with the way you can control Mario, you can like truly master his like control.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's like it's so precise, and it's like not necessarily perfect, but it's predictable every single time. So if you can really master that and then exploit that for certain things. Yeah. The infinite staircase was one of my favorite moments. Oh, the first time I found the slide in the castle where you have to jump through the peach stained glass, that just amazed me. I was like, they just like tucked that away in the map.
Yeah.
It was so good. The Boo Courtyard was another favorite of mine.
Yeah, one thing I don't like is all the bunnies in the DS version. Like in the original, there's only like 2 bunnies, but in the DS one, there's like it feels like there's like 50 bunnies, and they're like colored for every character.
There's so many. Oh yeah. So so I guess this is a good time to talk about some of the differences because we've also played the DS port, and the DS one has all the bunnies. It has 30 more stars, and a lot of those extra stars are tailored to. There's now 4 characters. There's not just Mario. There's also Luigi, Wario, and Yoshi, and you actually start as Yoshi.
Yeah, that's one of the weirdest things I think in the DS version. But
It's one of the weirdest things. However, I would make the case of if you've played the original, like imagine like you've played the original at launch when it came out on the Nintendo 64. You know, you grew up with it, you loved it, and then imagine you get the DS one later and you expect it to be the same, and then it starts out different. It starts out with you start out as Yoshi and you have to rescue Mario. That's like, it's a weird choice, but I feel like if you almost think of it as a sequel, it's really cool.
well, the coolest thing is because he was intended to be in the game, but like I said, because they had to keep rushing this game, they ended up not being able to develop him into the game, which would have made the game perfect if he was in it. But the fact that he's like the Easter egg for the original game when he's on the top of the castle.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I
Like
remember that.
I love that, but also it's like it has no meaning really. It's just like pointless.
It's an Easter egg.
But it's yeah, but
It's
it is
just
cool that
an
in the
Easter egg.
like DS version he's like he comes down and you play as him. That is actually really cool.
It's justice for Yoshi at the end there. Yeah,
Yeah.
and all the caps that Mario had, that was also a design choice they made. All the caps in the original are specific to the characters in the DS one. So like only Luigi can be invisible, only Wario can be metal, only Mario can fly, you know. So some little differences in that way, and there's some interesting extra stars. A lot of them are a little bit gimmicky, but also it's like it's you most of the stars can be gotten with any character, so it's kind of just like extra content that you can choose which character to play as.
Yeah, and like they fixed a lot of the like little problems of stars they had too, which is nice.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the new bosses are really cool. Like around
Oh,
the Goomba.
you're right. I had
King
forgotten
and
about
stuff.
that until today. Is that so? To save once you get enough stars to save each of the people, you start as Yoshi, and then you have to
Yeah.
save Mario, Luigi, and Wario. You have a special level and fight a special boss to save them. Which actually, that's really cool.
Yeah. It's definitely I would say it's the definitive version and like I hope that they do that rumor comes true in this year and they remake 64 and Sunshine and Galaxy. That would be like the most perfect video game if all of those are together. And I would even pay $60 for a remake of each one, which would be crazy, but honestly, they're some of my favorite games.
Yeah, I do like. We're at the point where I am like kind of sick of remakes, but these like hold like such a dear place. Like 64, Sunshine, and to a lesser extent Galaxy, like hold like such a like dear place in my heart. I really do want them to be remade because
Yeah.
I want them again. And you love Odyssey, but I haven't played Odyssey yet. And honestly, replaying 64 to prepare for this has like made me want to play Odyssey. So I'm excited for that.
I wish I could watch you play Odyssey because the thing that makes me love Odyssey so much is how open and real it is. I've watched it 3 times and I've played it once. And like, I literally watched my sister play through the whole thing. I watched my roommate play through the whole thing. I watched Caroline play through the first third. Hopefully she'll finish it. And I've played through, I haven't gotten every star. There's like, or moon. There's like a few that are evil. Like the jump rope one is just insane. But I've almost 100%ed it. So,
Dang, that's amazing.
oh,
You really like watching that game. And
and the speedrun community is even more insane for that game. Like they've gotten it down to under an hour, and it was like insane how they got to that point.
it's so cool how those communities rise up. And I have to say, I haven't not played it for like not wanting to play it or not being interested in it. It's mostly like a time thing. But I have to like pick and choose what I do very carefully with like work and stuff. But it has definitely like replaying 64 has definitely bumped Odyssey up in priority for me.
I mean, I put it slightly above Breath of the Wild.
Really? That's very bold.
Slightly.
Yeah, I mean, it might do it for me. Like Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine hold like such dear places in my heart. This might be exactly like one of those.
It is, and it's like it's also so special too. And I think to prove that this game still does hold up, a lot of those design choices come into Odyssey, even though they left in 3D World and a little bit in Galaxy. I think they really come back stronger than ever in Odyssey.
Yeah, I mean, after Mario 64 came out, that was literally like every game tried to copy it, and none could really do it precisely right. A few came close, like Donkey Kong 64 was pretty good. Banjo-Kazooie had some moments that were good, but it's like
Spyro was pretty good.
But like none exactly hit that mark, which is amazing. Yeah. So, do you think that this stands the test of time?
So, yes, definitely. I mean, I think it obviously does because I played it in like 2010 and it became my favorite game of all time. When at that point, I could have played, Galaxy. I was into Call of Duty, I was into Galaxy, I was into, everything. Like I had like a gaming PC a few years later after that, but I still like put it above everything else. And same with you, like you played it not in the 90s, like, and the fact that I 100%ed it and wanted to 100% it on the DS and still loved, like, at first I was a little iffy coming back to it because of the graphics and the control and the camera. But once I got over that, I honestly got sucked into it and I got into like a happy place of just like, it's almost like comfort food. It's so great.
Yeah. It's weird because it shows its age now for sure. Like it doesn't feel like modern anymore between the graphics and the controls and stuff like that. But it's still good even below that. Just because like the paint's worn doesn't mean it's bad. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
I would definitely say play it 100% if it gets remade this fall. But if not, like the DS version is probably the best you can get, and luckily it's on the Wii U Virtual Console. That I'm pretty sure the DS.
Yes, if you have a Wii U, you can play the DS version, and it doesn't like perfectly fix the flaws, but just the fact that like you can joystick it now is like worth it.
And you can remap the controls, which I was having an issue with coming back to it, of like the squat is on the left. I wish the squat, like the crouch was on the right would be better, but
yeah, they could have fixed that.
But if you could also just because the Wii Virtual Console is dead, and I mean obviously if you have an N64 it's like best on that, but I mean an emulator is like probably gonna be pretty good too for any kind of computer at worst case. But
yeah. All right, so to close this out, do you have any questions from our viewers?
Oh shoot, I have one from my sister. For a second I was like, wait, I didn't ask anybody this week, but yeah, my sister like loved the episode, and it's cool because like it was cool that we like talked about going to the Porter concert with her.
Nice.
And I don't know, the whole thing has been really nostalgic to like talk about with like friends and family because it is like reminiscing. But she asked like what our favorite memory together is, which we could have like hundreds and talk about this forever, but
oh dang. Wait, was that first or favorite?
I mean, I would just first thing that pops to your head, but her was favorite memory, but like that's honestly that would be too hard to think about and analyze.
I remember that we went to a pumpkin patch when we were like little kids, and that was super fun.
I thought okay, sure, let's go with first memory. I was thinking like the first one that comes to your head.
That was the first one that came to my head. I mean, like the first like significant like one. Like I can remember like more recent ones. Like I can remember going to First Watch recently and stuff. But like significant one.
No, I mean like the first thing that pops into your head when you think like best memory together.
Oh yeah. That's one of them.
Yeah, wow, I don't remember that at all. But I'm sure there's some
We were pretty
pictures
little.
somewhere in
Yeah.
an album.
Yeah.
My first thought was just like that one time when I'd moved away and we both were in the Anne Arundel Mall or Arundel Mills Mall, and somehow your whole family was there, and like we were like just like the most excited you could get as a kid because like we could never see each other, and it was like best friends pulled apart like an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I do remember that. That was just like so random and spontaneous and like the best surprise, like the best happenstance that could have happened.
I don't know if we probably just got like a meal together. Our parents were like, "Oh god, like what's?"
I honestly don't even know if we like ate together after that. I think we just like talked a long time, but it was like awesome.
That's probably true. I mean, I wouldn't remember really, but yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was. You're
So
right.
good.
That's like probably one of like the best memories. Just like the excitement of that happening. Didn't we go like demo the Wii together too for the first time? Were you there for that?
I don't know.
I think that was at a mall. I remember like at one of the malls in the area, in the Maryland area, they were showing the Wii off before it came out, and you could go like try it out and play it. And I think
One thing that reminded me of was like I did a Battle Revolution tournament in a GameStop
that's
in a mall
right.
once.
Oh,
Were you there?
I wasn't there, but I remember you telling me about it.
Oh, you had to like bring your DS with your Pokemon team and then load it into the Wii like battle arena game. It was so fun.
That's a good memory. Oh man. All right, I have a question. This one comes from Mary Kate, and she says, "What is your first memory of playing a video game?" So, first game you ever played.
What comes to mind is the PlayStation. My dad wasn't and isn't a gamer, but he had a PlayStation 1. That's it.
What did you play on it?
And-
Was like the first thing you played?
Well, the things that come to mind, well, Spyro being one, and I think that's why I like Mario so much too. And then Frogger, I forget what it was called, and Pac-Man World, and all three of those games are 3D platformers, and they all like pale in comparison to Mario 64, but they're all
But all inspired by Mario 64.
yeah, and they're all so fun, and they're all like I would love to go back and play those, and I still can on my PS3, which is kind of crazy. But
You should definitely get the Spyro collection for Switch.
I did. I played the
Oh,
first
nice.
like world because I never played Spyro 1, so it's a little bit jarring. But Spyro 2 is the one I played a lot. But
Yeah, I remember playing Spyro 2 at my friend's house. My first gaming memory was I was like 3 or something like that. My dad had an original Game Boy that they would keep in the bathroom drawer for some reason. And I remember like as like a little toddler like
well, Will, you know what the reason is for that, right?
I just didn't want to say it. It's a little toilet time activity. But yeah, he would keep it in there. So I was just like vibing in the bathroom one day, and I found it, and he showed me the first game I played was Tetris on it, and he had like
Yeah.
Tetris and Wordtris and a golf game. And my first time was like playing Tetris on the original Game Boy Color, which actually explains my Tetris 99 addiction right now a lot.
Yeah.
But then after like playing that, they bought me a Game Boy Color because the Game Boy Color was out at the time and a bunch of games for that. So yeah, that was my old memory.
That's beautiful.
Well, this was quite an episode. That was quite a trip down memory lane.
So much nostalgia. I was not expecting that, even though I should expect it.
Yeah, a lot of good memories in there. Oh, dang. All right, do we have anything else to take us out?
No, I don't think so. But I'm going home next week, so I think I'll record from there, and I'm really excited to have a week off and relax and get some sun and clear my mind and stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a few good things coming up as well, so we'll have a lot to discuss in our next episode.
Awesome.
All right, thank you all for
everybody,
listening.
Bye-bye.
Take care.